Gig Nation, and welcome to another Golf Industry Guru live Q&A call. I'm your host, James Cronk. It is July 3rd, so if you're one of our wonderful members from Canada, I hope you had a great National Canada Day a couple days ago. If you're one of our friends from the United States, like our guest today, then tomorrow is your big July 4th weekend. And if you're somewhere else in the world, I don't know what special day you're celebrating, but welcome to today's live member Q&A call. And as I said, it's my pleasure to have our guest on today. Without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Jason Wilson, the CEO of Gallus Golf. Jason, welcome to our gig member call for July 3rd. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, James, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
And now I know you just had a little bit of a vacation, and it's about to be a big long weekend in San Diego. We were just talking offline about your plans, but is this a busy time in the summer for Gallus Golf, or is this a little bit of a less time when all the operators are busy and running their clubs, or depending on where they are in the world, I guess?
It's twofold. I'd say definitely on the kind of support and launch side. We're a lot busier as people are getting things ready, launching tournaments, launching their apps. Starting to use some of the new tech, things like that. We'll definitely get some more questions or clarifications, things like that. It does. As we all know, it slows down a little bit more on, I'll call it the sales or side, because operators are busy, right? And so they're out there running their businesses, but we still continue to, have great conversations and still continue to grow. But we definitely, all of a sudden, everybody says, "Hey, we're ready to go. Show us how to use everything." So.
Now, Jason, I was looking up some background information, and I don't know if we met 15 years ago. I know we met a long time ago, because I was a little surprised to see that Gallus was, I believe, almost 15 years old. And now, my goodness, 800 or more plus clubs around the world. First of all, congratulations on all of your success with Gallus. And today we're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about mobile apps. We're going to talk about trends and all the things that you hear from, I guess, your clubs and your customers about what their needs are. And for those operators that are listening today and club managers, we're hopefully gonna share with you some best practices that are going on about ways to generate revenue, ways to improve service, ways to improve the guest experience. But Jason, just share with our listeners a little bit about your journey with Gallus. And I know you have many other things on the go these days as well, but just tell us a little bit about when you first started. Is this where you were hoping to be 15 years later?
Honestly, I kind of have to pinch myself to be able to do this every day and call it my job. So that's fantastic. And it's been a fun journey. It's been obviously challenging parts, as anybody out there knows, running a business and starting a business. But we kind of started to have the vision in, I'll call it mid 2011. And the idea was, hey, let's help golf courses leverage mobile app technology to better communicate, connect, engage with their customers, and really enhance the experience from booking the tee time to their on-course experience to, most importantly, even after they leave, so you can keep them coming back, right? And really, we specifically wanted to approach it through the golf course operator's eyes. There were aggregator solutions or kind of generic, golf app solutions out there, but we said, hey, we want to build something that is fully branded for the club. It is an opportunity for them to, further, strengthen that bond with every single customer, more effectively, communicate with them, increase loyalty. And that's what we kind of set out to do. And the funny story kind of behind it is, at the time, we were going to play golf at a golf course here in San Diego, actually. And the course had an app. And the guys I was playing with, they're friends and now colleagues, they were doing some mobile app development. I couldn't write a line of code if you had a gun to my head. I'm not the app developer. But we were playing a course and we saw, hey, they have an app. And we thought, man, this is a really great idea. This is a really crappy app, but it's a really great idea. And so I grew up playing golf, worked at golf courses, and started to say, hey, is there something here? So long story short, was talking to golf courses, mocking things up, whatnot, was able to put together a plan and get Gallus launched. And we had our first paying customers in 2012. Yeah, here we are today. Those first 2 years, I was the guy that called you and tried to sell you. I was the guy that trained you. I was the guy that when you reach out for support, I was support. I was the guy that sent you the bill. So really everything there. But that was
yeah, right now Scott is nodding his head on everything of those things, exactly, because we know the story very well. But anyway.
Yeah, but luckily today I've got a fantastic team that is helping with all those aspects and continuing to enhance and innovate and do new things. So it's been great. It's been awesome.
Well, what do you, first of all, in your estimation, let's just say, whatever, 18,000 golf course, North America, whatever we want to count the number is, and 33,000 around the world. What percentage, so let's talk about North America. What percentage of clubs in North America do you think are using mobile technology in their organization, in their operation?
Gosh, that's a really great question. I would say if it was, definitely, I think less than probably 20%, I'm guessing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think that there's still so many, operators that, look at like even online, tee times,
Yes.
You still don't have every golf course out there with online tee times. So, the mobile app, component is probably still kind of to be penetrated for sure. So,
well, I guess in that vein, like over the years, over the last kind of decade or more, that you've been talking to operators, and I certainly remember back in the day when first of all, apps was a thing. The app store wasn't even there before, and there was everyone trying to sometimes calling up some guy that makes computers and go, "Can you build me an app?"
Yeah.
And so, in your experience, Jason, like. What's a bit of the evolution, I guess, of mobile apps and how they do help a golf club and how you've seen it evolve, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe can you just talk about that?
Yeah, definitely, and it's definitely become much more accessible. Back when we started, gosh, if you want to go have somebody build an app for you, you're looking at a pretty penny, right? And still even today, honestly, like having something built for you custom is tough. And so we kind of wanted to build something that was accessible for any golf course out there, any shape or size, and so. Initially it was, I look back at our app, and when it was the 2012 version, I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing's, so old. But it was a lot of really, I'll call it basic features, but very valuable, tools, things to give people quick access to, book a tee time, even to improve, scoring. I remember even early on, something that golf courses really attracted them was the GPS component, because GPS, on carts is not a cheap, option out there. They're really great tools, but for not affordable for every golf course out there. So even having that initially was great.
And lots of walkers. There's lots of walkers.
There's lots of walkers as well. And even then, honestly, the GPS piece is great operationally, but I always say, gosh, that GPS unit on the cart stays on the cart. It doesn't go home with your golfer. And so that's the value there, is that thing stays in their pocket. And that's one reason for them, to have value and use it, as you say, hey, we've got this great app for the club. You can book tee times, you got GPS, you got all these things here. And yeah, we've continued to, kind of expand as the technology has gotten better. And I'd say a kind of a big piece to that we've kind of seen is, golf courses, they're not all just golf businesses, right? They have so many aspects of their business. Many have food and beverage, many have, golf academies. Some of them have like full entertainment with Top Tracer. And we have clubs with RV parks and mini golf, and I think we have one even with go-kart racing and things like that, and then the resorts, with accommodations and dining, all that kind of stuff. And so, being able to say, hey, let's not box this app into just a golf revenue opportunity or a golf experience opportunity, but really expand it beyond this broader opportunity to drive revenue across all aspects of the business.
Well, and let's talk about that because the reason why I wanted to have you on, one of the reasons, Jason, besides the fact to be a great tech platform, is this conversation right now about revenue generation that I always am trying to preach to owners and operators and clubs and managers, which is that I sometimes terribly say, which I shouldn't say, if you were broken before COVID and you haven't made anything better, you're still broken. Like the 20% growth that you've experienced in the last 3 or 4 years, let's make sure that we just don't assume it's going to be here forever, because we've had, when I go to these conferences and I listen to very smart people, I was just at a conference last week listening to the CEO of Troon and to other organizations talk about, that we have good times and we have lower times, and then we have good, it's a fluctuating cycle, right?
Yep.
And so when we have business capturing revenue and finding ways to capture revenue, and then finding ways to make sure that we keep getting that revenue when things do dip, it's critically important.
Yes.
And one of the things that I remember in the very beginning about the mobile app usage was obviously to drive revenue or to capture more revenue. So Can you explain to our listeners that maybe are not using mobile technology, whatever that might look like for them,
right.
What are the reasons why a club wants to have a mobile app? What's the pitch?
Yeah, no, great question. And yeah, it's been really interesting to see kind of the changing of the market, right? And how people are approaching this and operators are. I mean, yeah, I would say earlier on, with what golf courses were looking for from us was, gosh, they're trying to fill their tee sheets, right? Remember those days when it was in like every idea.
2 for 1. We'll fill our tee sheet 2 for 1.
We were doing. I remember there was, let's build a bunch of 12-hole golf courses. Let's do pay by hole. Let's do everything you could, right? All these ideas. And so, the app, one, it still is today. It was a great tool to do that. I mean, to be able to, instantly let people know, hey, we've got some openings. Hey, we're going to do, maybe early twilight. I remember a story of one of our clubs. He was so excited that he pulled two groups of golfers out of his competitor's parking lot with one push notification, because he just did an early twilight, said, hey, come out an hour early and we'll get you going. And literally these guys showed up and said, yeah, we were about to play over here. We got your push and here we are to play at your course. If you would have sent an email or social post, chances of them seeing that by the time before they teed off probably wouldn't happen there. But today, to get to your point on, things are different now, right? Golf has been, very healthy. Tee sheets are full. Membership wait lists are a mile long. But that doesn't mean that you don't stop, marketing and engaging. This is the opportunity, right? You've got a high volume of customers coming through your business. And this is a great opportunity to say, hey, we want to engage with you further, have a long-term relationship with you. So for them, being able to say, hey, download our app. It's your one-stop shop. That's really what we try to be. Is like, hey, let's take everything your club is about and give your customers a central hub to be able to access everything. And just by that convenience, you're going to win. By just making it more convenient to tap on that app icon, book a tee time, order food, keep score, post your score, everything like that, you're gonna win with that. And so it's a minority of courses out there, but if you're saying, well, gosh, things are great, we don't need to do anything, like you're saying, it's not going to be that way forever. This is the opportunity to make sure we're capitalizing and capturing that. We have a sister business in the craft beer space who's on the other side of all of this. Craft beer, 5-6 years ago, all you had to do was open a craft brewery and you had a line out the door. It's not that way today, right? And so they're doing everything they can now to get foot traffic, to create loyalty, to get more people in the tap room. And so, now's the time. Now they're saying, gosh, we really need this. We wish we would have had this before. We would be better off today.
And by the way, definitely one of the best taglines I've ever come across with your TapWise. Can you just share with the audience?
Yeah, it was turning randos into regulars. So
right, randos into regulars, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
and like you said, I mean, one of the things that we, as operators, we often think about the green fee pricing. We're gonna try to manage our pricing, right?
Yeah.
But to me, it's actually the opportunities about trying to capture more dollar, just capture more dollars. So Jason, you and I have played golf all over the world. I could tell you, unfortunately, on less than 2 hands, how many times I've been at a counter and someone has said, "Would you like a sleeve of balls? Would you like a golf glove? Do you have enough sunscreen?" And when it does happen, I'm like, I could take a picture. Like, let's capture this moment. I don't mean to be insulting, but that's just the reality of it. Like I'm not making that up. Like if we polled everybody right now and talked about how many times someone's tried to sell them a dessert at the table in a golf club restaurant. So one of the things about mobile technology and about the app and about that relationship is that, like you said, it's just capturing, giving other opportunities for people to purchase product, engage, sign up for events, right? Yep. Take advantage of a special, et cetera, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. And it is. I mean, really, in most cases, and I understand it's busy, but the staff is there. They're just processing credit cards. That's all. Hey, let's get them moving through as quickly as possible. So they're not taking the opportunity to add some of that additional revenue. The app has and probably a lot of apps have a lot of different ways to capitalize on that. Some of the things our app can do is you can have a message pop up right when you're going to the 9th tee box. It says, "Hey, we've got cold beers, and hamburgers. You want to put an order in now, right?" And prompt them and remind them, "Hey, let's do that early. Order it right there. It's ready for you when you make the turn, and you're on the way to number 10." That's a great experience for the customer. It's added revenue for them as well, and it's efficient. How many times I've walked in totally planning on buying something at the turn, and there's a line of people, they're busy, they're not understaffed, whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I got a granola bar in my bag. That'll hold me over, right? That's how much are you losing right there? Those types of things. And I've been trying to talk about too is, golf revenue is great, but there's other opportunities to kind of add on to that, right? We have an example of a course or a client that was doing a membership. It was more on the food and beverage side. And one of their things they were doing for those members was flash rewards. And they would do like a $1 pint flash reward. And they send it out through the app. It's a digital reward in the app. And then they looked at their point of sale. And every time a $1 pint reward was redeemed, the average tab size was over $20. So, you're not giving away. And sometimes I've talked, we can't give away a $1 pint. You're not giving away a $1 pint. You're giving somebody a reason to come in, and who's going to go drink a pint by themselves, right? You're bringing your buddy, your friends, you're going to spend a little bit more money. So just using, those types of pieces there. There's so many different ways and creative ways. Honestly, we've learned from our operators on creative ways that we never even honestly thought of using the app. And they're doing great things to drive revenue and really kind of out of the box ideas.
I'm going to share this story that I've shared before. So anyone that's heard it, I apologize. But, we just getting back to that concept, right, of giving stuff away. So, we used to have for our course ambassadors before the app days, we gave them a little coupon card.
Yeah.
And it said shot of the day, and it said good for a free plate of nachos, right? And so the idea was that instead of your marshal driving around yelling at people to speed up, and when you drive up to a group, they're always like, "Oh my God, the marshal's here, the ambassador's here. What did I do wrong?" Mm-hmm. You give a chance to that ambassador to say, "Mrs. Jones, that was the best shot I've seen all day. You hit it over the pond, even if it was 30 yards or whatever." and here's your shot of the day coupon. Take it into the restaurant afterwards for a free plate of nachos. Mm-hmm. Now, I can guarantee you, we used to do the measurements all the time. That free plate of nachos turned into a bottle of wine, turned into something else with because they don't all, whatever it might be, right? So there's so many different ways to kind of motivate people to give you their money. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Getting back to the app, Jason, and getting back to, as you've seen it progress over the last decade, and you talk about the old version versus the new version, we're having a great conversation with you guys about our waiver platform being accessible on your app, because it's obvious to me that one of the things that you guys are embracing is this integration with other people's platforms, right? And there's one thing that I'm learning over the last couple of years in this business of the technology that's available to golfers now and to operators is that, there's now ways to work with everybody to make it more streamlined. So, obviously you're not people don't book a tee time on your app specifically, right? You are connected with tee sheets, right? So just share more about what are the features, I guess, of mobile technology.
So you're right. We work with, we've got a client out there. If there's a tee sheet that exists, we have a client using them and they're using it with the app, right? So we are big believers, like you're saying, in building bridges to other best-in-class technologies. Kind of the e-waiver thing came up. Honestly, Matt on my team, we had a client asking, hey, is there a way that you guys could set up something to sign our cart waivers in the app? And Matt's like, oh, could we use this and kind of tweak this and do this? And I said, no, just contact these guys. This is what they're doing, and let's see how we can make it work. And so, we all know, look, every course out there is unique. The way they operate is unique, and they're going to find, hey, what technologies, what services are best for them. And we want to support that. We want to say, hey, look, if you've got a tournament registration solution that really works well for you, if you've got whatever tee sheet you're using, if you've got food and beverage, ordering software, these are all things that we provide in-house, but it doesn't have to be ours. If they say, hey, look, this really works well for us, great. Let's find a way to make sure it's accessible, it's easy, and it works in the app. We built in 2015, we built a tournament software. And honestly, it was because we had so many people, asking for something in there, and people love it. It's continued to expand. But we kind of had in mind what we wanted to do. We wanted to make it really simple for the operator and really simple for the user to set up an event, join an event, keep score, all that great stuff. But we knew we weren't going to do everything, right? We wanted to build it really great for what 80% of courses are doing 80% of the time. And that is perfect. But we also understand, hey, courses have other needs. So we work with companies like Golf Genius. We're integrated with Golf Genius. So if they want to use that, but run the live scoring through their branded app, which is what they want more people coming through their app. Great, let's make that work. But yeah, there's so many ways that we want to support whatever the client thinks is best for them, and let's find a way to make it work. Obviously, we power a lot of things through the app that they love. They can create digital membership cards and subscriptions and loyalty programs and all these great things. But I think this has to be a world of combining and making technologies talk to each other and connect. And in the end, if it benefits the client, then hey, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I exactly. And so what are some of the trends that you see from your clients that they're using more of, or that if I said, like, of all the clients you have, what would they say is the thing that they love the most, gives the most benefit, or that they could never do without, or whatever it might be? Right. Is there something that because like one of the things that we find sometimes is like, we think we know what people want in our stuff, our platform, and then we discover later on that, or we find out that they're enjoying something completely different, and they're
Right.
using that more often than the stuff that we thought was the whole flashy bells and whistles, right? It's just funny that, obviously the client will tell you what they need.
Right.
And so what do your clients tell you currently are kind of some of the things that they're really trying to take advantage of or they need in their business?
Yeah, no, great question. I think, one of the most common things we usually hear, it's on the communication side. I mean, a lot of the courses that are coming to us, that aren't a client, what they're expressing is, hey, we need a better way to, communicate, with our customers. Email is not as effective as it used to be. Social media is getting oversaturated. I mean, people, the average person gets 90 emails a day. A lot of those are getting caught in the promotion folder, and they'll never see it. I think I have 170,000 emails in my promotions folder. I'll never read. And then social media as well. I mean, it becomes harder. And I'm not saying you ditch any of those, but you've got to meet your customers where they are. And so more and more people are saying, hey, it's more effective to communicate with me here. So push is definitely something, and we continue to expand on that. We just released some new capabilities that really give you some more tools to segment down to the specific audience that you want, all the way down to a single person if you wanted to, and schedule those and create some unique calls to action with every single one. And the other aspect on the I'll talk about on the communication side is we have some kind of in-app messaging tools as well, some pop-ups and things like that, and those have been proven to convert revenue like instantly. One of the our municipal client, just as one example, they were running a Father's Day gift card promotion, not this Father's Day, but it was last year, I think it was. And they were doing it through email, social, website, everywhere. But they had a pop-up in their app that just kind of promoted it, had a nice little image. Hey, buy the gift of golf for dad. And they were tracking, obviously, conversions on all these. And that pop-up alone in just that short period for Father's Day generated $47,000 in gift card sales, just that pop-up. And it was outperformed every other channel they had. And we see that kind of across the board for a lot of the things that people are doing. The app is not the only place, but it seems to be the place that most people are going to. And those types of things, again, it's that central point for them to let everybody come in and participate, purchase, book, everything. They all know, hey, I've got this thing I can go to do everything. And so that really makes it a lot more convenient for the user, and it's going to drive revenue for the golf course as well. We had speaking of the things you don't plan on people using, we had this system called the Offer Locker, and it was really great. It allowed them to do offers right through the app. It made it more incentive for people to download the app. It doesn't always have to be discounts, but people were using it for like member guest passes. They were using it for rain checks. And they were asking for more and more and more. So we kind of transitioned to a new system, or built a new system, and I call it the Offer Locker on steroids. And it allows them to do recurring rewards. They can set up membership subscriptions. They can sell prepaid golf packs and all of that stuff that normally a lot of that would be very manual. You'd have to go into the shop to do it. You'd have to print out a bunch of cards, hand them a piece of paper, whatever it may be. It's all now in the app, and they can also see what's happening with it, what the activity's like. So yeah, it's the Offer Locker took on a life of its own, and it drove us to kind of expand the technology and into how our customers were using it.
It's funny. You were talking about push notifications, and I was thinking about this buddy in my group of golfers that I play with in my local community here. There's this one of our buddies that obviously is on the cancellation notify kind of a part of his app of the golf course, because he always gets these like, I got a tee time today at 2:30 on like a Friday. It's just like, how did you possibly get that?
Yeah.
And he's become kind of the go-to guy. And I know it's because he's on the app, he's paying attention, he's getting these push notifications. And so, and you talked earlier on about, so when you talk to some operators sometimes, and even ourselves, we can always sometimes be afraid of technology, right?
Yeah.
We're like, where do I start? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
tech savvy. It's going to be complicated. My customers don't use it.
Yeah.
I mean, all that kind of stuff. And so, what would you say, kind of, I guess, to that skeptic,
Mm-hmm.
that is, thinking to themselves, he or she, that their golfers wouldn't use it, or they already have too many apps on their phone. The last thing they want is another app with my golf course. I mean, I'm sure you heard all these
right
all these blockings when you're trying to pitch someone. But do you have any stats about like even the number of, like, if it's a public golf course and they're doing 30,000 rounds of golf in their golf season, maybe played by 15,000 different people. Like, of that 15,000, what percentage would you hope for or aim for that might be actively engaged in the app?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's always difficult to answer. But we always, we get, well, how many app downloads should I expect?
Right.
And it varies. And honestly, that's one of the metrics of how well the app's performing. But it's not it's apples. It's not apples to apples, right?
No, it's not quantity over quality. It's about
exactly. I mean, we have somebody like a Torrey Pines who's going to have probably 40,000 downloads. But if you're a rural course, in the Midwest, small municipality, like there's no way, right? But that doesn't mean 1,000 downloads isn't fantastic for you. So we actually just launched a course in a small community, and they only have a few hundred downloads, but they are thrilled with it. They said everybody is loving this thing. They used it for. He actually just told us, my customer success rep was telling me about it. They used it for the tournament software. Tournament software was awesome. Everybody loved it. But what he also did is he did a bounce back reward in the app to say, hey, it was a charity event. Hey, come back, play my course again. And he's already had 4 people come back and use that bounce back reward to play the course. And of course, they didn't come by themselves; they brought a foursome with them. So it's bringing them back there. But yeah, we do get the, oh well, gosh, I don't think people want another app, or I don't think people are going to, my customers are going to use the app. Really, the reality is, if you look at the stats out there, like, people are using apps, like, and we all remember maybe that one person that just said, oh, I don't like apps. And look, not everybody's going to download it, right? That's fine. But there's a reason that, all the large companies, these multi-billion-dollar companies, Best Buy, Target, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, even smaller companies than that, DSW, whatever it may be, have mobile apps. And when you go to their websites, they're trying to push it on you. When you go to their store, they're trying to push it on you, is because they know that their mobile app users are their most engaged users. They're their most loyal customers. They're their most likely to convert and spend more money. So like you're saying, it's not quantity, it's quality. And the more people that you give value to through that app and show them, this is going to make your life easier. Like, you now can go into the app and see exactly what's going on every day here. You can go register for an event. You can go see if it's a private club, see your member statement. You're making their life easier. They're eventually going to say, gosh, okay, I was wrong about this, right? And we have a lot of courses that have said, yeah, I was wrong. You were right. This is really working. Or honestly, we've had courses say, hey, turn it off. We don't need it. And within 48 hours, hey, can you turn that back on? Because I got so many people complaining that the app is gone, type of thing. And they just didn't, they were just in a different mindset. So yeah, I mean, I think, we've seen, like I said, some courses up to, those 40,000 download numbers. But as long as you just got to tell people about it. It's all you have to do. You just have to create awareness. You're not going to throw it in the app store and magically people are going to find it. No. But if you just tell them, hey, look, we've got this great new app. You can, do everything through it here. And especially if they do the right thing and say, hey, if you want to be the first one to know about everything we're doing, download the app. that's where we're going to be communicating. And you kind of train your customers to say, okay, yeah, all right, I don't want to miss out. I don't want that FOMO. So we've definitely shown a lot of people, hey, look, yeah, this thing does work. And not everybody's going to download it. Not everybody's going to just, only play your golf course because they have the app. But if you can get that person to play 1 or 2 more, 3 more rounds every season because you have it versus your competitors, because they saw a push, they saw a promotion, they saw something, that's what you're trying to get, right? Is that incremental growth. We're not promising they'll never play another golf course. It's that incremental growth there.
Well, and obviously, like anything, I'm assuming that you communicate the ROI of, if you pay for our platform, we're pretty darn confident that it's going to pay for itself in increased revenue, increased sales, whatever it might be, right? Are there some revenue generating kind of stories? There are some ROI stories that you kind of use in your best practices of, you give a couple examples today, but are there some examples of clubs that have implemented mobile technology that have, killed it with some revenue generation that you refer to?
Yeah, there's the ones I already referenced. There's numerous ones like that where the pop-up feature that is converting revenue instantly, where they are seeing those tee times that all of a sudden weren't available or now available. There's tools like obviously Notify out there. They do a great job. They're a partner of ours. They're integrated to our API. And so, leveraging the two together, actually, it's kind of like a 1 + 1 = 3 type of thing when you do that. And so, yeah, we've seen clubs who have been able to, even with the tournament software, sometimes maybe even charge a little bit of premium for it. Say, hey, we can do live scoring, live app, live leaderboard, and add a little bit of revenue on top. And it's also a time saver as well. We get a lot of feedback on the tournament software with the capabilities there, that they're saving 60 to 90 minutes with every event that they run, because now they've got the live scoring going through the app. At the end of the tournament, they're not running around chasing down, 40 groups trying to grab scorecards, trying to, write everything in or input into a system, put it on the old school calligraphy, board. It's all done for them. And so they can, spend more of their time, face to face with the clients, getting the banquet room ready, things like that. So yeah, we see that we work with some, larger MCOs as well, where they're super data driven and they're tracking everything. And they will have, we see the data where we can see, it's like 80 to 90% of their tee time booking revenue is going through the app. We just had a resort client give us some great numbers. They kind of expanded the ability to book accommodations, book pickleball, book, golf, everything in there. And in their first 20 days of kind of pushing that to their resort base, they booked $15,000 in accommodations through the app. They booked $7,500 in pickleball revenue through the app, about almost $20,000 in tee time revenue, and then they just called it $8,000 in other revenue. They've got paddle boards, they've got kayaks, they've got beach rentals, all that kind of stuff. But all of that is now instantly accessible right through the app. And they said it's, it is, making it easier for them to drive revenue across all of those different aspects of their business.
Yeah, that's awesome. It like you said, you're not going to have every customer, on an app, but you can't deny the fact. Like, I love the example you gave, which was that all these other organizations, they wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Right. They wouldn't be pushing their app, download their app, sending stuff on their app. I see people all the time when I go to in Canada, Tim Hortons, thank you very much. And, people are showing their app and getting their points and all that stuff.
Yeah.
On a bigger picture, Jason, like you talked about AI a little bit earlier on, I think, and we were talking about technology, and you were also talking about your API and being open to all this other stuff that's out there, partnering with Golf Genius. I mean, like you have a tournament solution within your platform, and then you also partner with Golf Genius. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And so that's just to give people the double whammy option, you mean, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's Golf Genius is great at what they do, right? And that's their specialty. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel where we don't have to. We want to, like I said at the beginning, building bridges to other great technologies. And if we can, it's obviously got to be reasonable in terms of effort and support and things like that. But if we can support another technology, that's fine. We don't take offense if they say. We also have a full click to order food and beverage solution, and sometimes we'll have customers say, hey, we're already using Toast, and they can order online through Toast. Great, let's drop in Toast. Hey, we have an event registration. They say, oh, we really like the event registration tool we have. Great, let's drop it in there. You can send a push, send them to yours. We can create a button that goes right to yours as well. So it is. I think that's what's really important, and something that we've just tried to stay true to is really make the app fit for what they need, and people really love that flexibility, and it gives them the ability, and we've made it really easy too for them to make those changes. I think that's really important when they're looking at is like, okay, great, you can build me an app, but when I want to do something through it, like, how do I do it, right? Is it something I can just go online and do, or do I have to email somebody and ask support to make a change? Do I have to get an update every single time that happens? How much, flexibility within the system do I have? And we've really tried to focus on, it's super easy to do anything you want as an operator in the back end. It's not going to take you a ton of time. Literally, usually it's under a minute to make a change. And it's instant, right? You don't have to update the app. You don't have to do anything. Obviously, we're there for support, but we want to make them as self-reliant as possible.
Well, it was super cool. We had a call, as you may know, I think yesterday with your tech team, and we've got a club in Australia that uses Gallus, and they're also a waiver client, an eGolf waiver client. And so just right then on our call, Jess was able to drop in our waiver platform on that awesome app, right? And so my guy in Australia brings up the club that he knows is using the app, and there's our waiver right there. So like you said, it's amazing that technology that you've got. And so what advice would you give an operator about tracking their digital success, I guess, KPIs, right? So because this becomes, it's never ending, right? I mean, it's never ending. It's just there's so much technology out there. There's so many things you can go down the rabbit hole with. People want to know how to use ChatGPT to, solve their problems and to, all of a sudden, write their newsletter. But there's, at the end of the day, there's got to be some measurement tools, right? From a digital standpoint, what do you kind of promote, or would you say are some of those key ones that you think every operator should just kind of use as a guide to just tell themselves where they sit in the world of digital success, I guess?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, something that we see a lot, obviously, and we try to encourage is kind of channel management and understanding, hey, where is my activity coming from, right? So really any business out there, right? You're probably going to have a website, you're probably going to have some social, you're going to have different sort of channels that people can interact with you, and making sure you understand where that is. And in golf specifically, it's really important too, because you have booking is going to be the primary thing, right? Is tee time booking. So where are those bookings coming from? And making sure, hopefully you're working with a tee sheet provider that can help you track that. So we do a lot of things, even if the tee sheet provider isn't, where we with every single button or link or anything that you add in the app, even if it's not powered by us, we add some UTM parameters. So that way we can help them track and say, hey, look, even though this portal or this registration for this event or whatnot, or tee sheet or booking engine is on your website, we want to make sure that you can see how much is coming through the app, so you can measure the value of that, right? And lots of times, they don't see that initially. It's always a challenge because all the different technologies that golf courses are using out there is there's no one main way to track it, but that's why we start there, and then we can work with them to, hey, let's show you this. And once we show it to them, it's like lots of times their eyes just bug out. They're like, wow, I just thought all of that was people on mobile devices. I'm like, no, it's actually, there's our UTM parameter. All of those are coming through the app, and it kind of blows their mind. So, I mean, channel management is one. Obviously, number of users, we can help show them how many active users they have. There's a difference between downloads and active users, and show how many active users they have and how they're interacting with the communications that they're doing. We can show them how many people are opted in for push notifications, and when those pushes are going out, hey, what's kind of activity is happening with those as well. So those are two great things. And I think that's another thing that, like you say, people say, oh, well, nobody's going to download an app, or people don't want to download an app. I also hear, well, yeah, but nobody's going to allow push notifications. I always say no to that. So across all of our hundreds of golf courses, the average opt-in for push is 60% across all of them. We have some obviously that are lower, but we have some that are like 70, 80%. And that's huge. I mean, yeah. I think and what do we do? What does everybody do when your phone dings? You look at it, or vibrates, right? Yeah. You're capturing that little bit of mind share, even if it's just a message, just to let them know, I love this, is, hey, the range is closing early, so you don't drive all the way to the golf course and realize, the range is closing early. So there's a ton of value. And even, it doesn't have to be a discount. It doesn't have to be some promo. It can be informational, and just using it the right way, and making sure that you're targeting the right people and things like that. Those are some metrics that we try to give, obviously, just high level on the app.
We talk about sometimes in our world, about educate and entertain and then sell, right? You can't just sell. You can't just entertain, and the same thing. So, to create customer engagement, I guess, kind of one of my final questions for you, Jason, is like the question around advice for whether it's mobile technology, whether it's communication, whether it's sales offers. Do you have any thoughts about best practices on really, what an operator could implement this week to get customer engagement, to improve customer engagement, right?
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on, you've certainly seen and see what clubs are doing, right? Like, and there's so much out there. There's so many best practices out there about special events, and about, educating them with content, or about, promoting different things, or whatever it might be, growing your brand. There's all kinds of ways to communicate. The question is, what's going to resonate the most with the client, the golfer? Do you have any kind of advice on what operators should be doing to improve their customer engagement?
Yeah, I mean, have some variety, right, in your messaging. Like you say, you don't always want it to be a kind of a sales message, right? It can just be, but you can do it honestly, like in a fun way too, right? Just have fun with it. I've seen pushes where, it's a Friday midday, and it's like a push that says, wouldn't you love to leave work and come out to the club, kind of thing, like, hey, your boss won't know if you leave a little early today, type of thing.
Right,
It's kind of like, yeah, it's trying to get you out to the club, it's trying to get you to spend money, but do it in kind of like a fun way, right, type of thing. Or I've seen clubs that'll add, kind of like a video series with like their pro, type of thing. Hey, here's a quick tip. Here's why all of you are, dinking your chips, type of thing. And the app, again, is a great tool to do that. And where you can, obviously, is you want to hit the right audience with the right message, right? So where you can, improving customer engagement is making sure that you do some segmentation where you can. Say, hey, look, this message about, our men's league, isn't going to resonate with everybody else. Let's target that specific audience, type of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, keep it fresh. You don't want to overwhelm them. You don't want to, put too much in front of them, but you also don't want to go the other way. Our best performing customers are clients that are pretty specific with messaging and content that they're putting in the app, type of thing. If I download any app, and I don't hear from them through that app in a while, man, I'm just going to get disengaged. It's going to go, get deleted off my phone. But you don't want to go overboard, but you do want to, have a regular kind of amount of frequency with them. I always recommend, in general, high level, like maybe 1 to 2 pushes a week, but you can do 2 pushes a day if they were targeted at the right audience, right? But yeah, I mean, you want to keep it fresh, keep it fun, try to make them laugh maybe a little bit. It doesn't always have to be, come buy this, come sign up for this type of thing. I even had a client, they put in a digital reward for a high five from the head pro, type of thing, come redeem this for a high five, and it's just, high fiving people all over the place. So have fun with it, type of thing.
Not to ask you to share any kind of trade secrets, but, if you look forward to the next 5 years or 10 years of Gallus and where the world is going, technology's going, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think the golf business is going to look like from a technology standpoint? Do you like where it's going? Do you have concerns about, I was at in Ireland a couple weeks ago at a technology conference where literally there was someone talking about standing on the fairway, wearing a pair of glasses that then spoke to me and told me that, the wind was, 10 degrees from the left, that I'm obviously a little hungover from the Guinness. And normally I hit my 7-iron 160, and today I've been averaging 145, so on this next shot, I should hit a 5-iron, right? So good and bad about what, technology is kind of looking like for the future. But what do you see, and what do you see, I guess, for Gallus in the future?
Yeah, I see it. I try to look at like, hey, what's useful for me, on a day-to-day basis, and how can we apply that and make things easier for both? Because we have 2 customers, right? We have the end user, the golfer, and we have the client, the golf course, right? And I'm a big ChatGPT, user. It's up all day, every day. And so, one of the things that I think a lot of people love about it is just, you can give it some plain English, questions or instructions, and it's pretty darn good at basically giving you an answer or executing what you're asking it to do. And, we've been talking about, gosh, how could we do that both for the operator and for the end user? So imagine, most software, right? They have a CMS, content management system. You can go in, you can make changes, you can send messages, all that kind of stuff. Imagine we get to no user interface world where it's just, hey, can you set up an event for, Saturday? It's going to be, a craft beer event. It's going to be $169. Can you create a page and a button for that and send out a push notification on this afternoon that says something to promote it? You don't have to tell it. It's just going to come up with a great, tagline for your push.
Yeah.
And imagine, being able to do that, to get that to that sort of like almost no interface kind of solution. I think, we're a ways away from that. It's not coming out in Q4 or anything like that. But those are the types of things that, make it really easier for the operator, save them time, make it just really simple. And then from the golfer perspective, kind of, similar things. And I've seen some of those things out there. You're standing there and say, hey Siri, what's my yardage right now, type of thing. But having it even do more, hey, mark down that I was in the bunker and I 3-putted or whatever it may be, and just really making it just an easy solution there for the end user and for the operator.
Love it, Jason. So many great insights today. I know we certainly are. Look, we're talking about technology. We're talking about the Gallus app, but at the end of the day, operators, whether they're using an app, whether they're using their own pen and paper, whether they're using other solutions, looking at other platforms. I think the message is about embracing technology. I mean, there's a bunch of things that I loved about today. Embracing the technology that's out there, number one. Don't be afraid of it, number two. Number three is the importance of segmentation of your messaging. Like like we have this opportunity using technology to tell a different story to the needs of each of those different customers because they want to hear about different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so many clubs that I know just do the same message to their entire database of 1,000 people. Just like, why are we telling them about men's night when this group should be hearing about junior day and ladies day and this day and everything else, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So lots of great stuff. Really appreciate it. Is there any final thoughts or anything you want to tell our listeners before signing off? And I invite everybody to seek you out and to connect with you on LinkedIn, and also to learn more if they don't already about Gallus. We're excited about our partnership with our waiver, hopefully coming on the Gallus app and for those clubs. But any final thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tag on to what you're saying is don't be afraid to try new technology and embrace it. And we see too much of that, I think, in this industry. Well, we've been doing it this way for 20 years and making a change, oh my gosh, type of thing. But you don't want to be the last one on the block that makes the change either. So
yes.
So we're here to help, and always love to have those conversations and see where we can. But it's an exciting world to live in, and gosh, get to work in the world of golf. Couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of Gig Nation and beyond, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching this month's July 3rd live Q&A call. We wish you all the best for your golfing season, no matter where you are. And as always, next time, we will see you in the inside.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, Jason.